Go.
So last week it was ice hockey with Daniel Imperial. This time around it is beach handball. So welcome to episode 37 of Who the Heck Are We? Our podcast is a member now of the Globally Ballin Network. So episodes are also available now on YouTube on the page of Globally Ballin. And do not forget to catch the other shows on our network. So carrying on, we have the Globally Ballin podcast with Aaron Anderson. So dive into the sporting opportunities around the world. Next up, we have 5 minutes with it's a new show, and I've been loving it so far. And third, of course, we have Hang Time with new host Denise Dinsai, where they talk volleyball. And last but not the least, we have an eternity of basketball. So relive the golden era of Philippine hoops with Noel, Charlie, and Sid, of course. So on to the show. My name is Claro Manzano, leading the way for this episode alongside Claudia Perrine. Jay De La Cruz, as of recording, is in the PSL bubble and he cannot make it. He's calling a bunch of games. So let's bring in our guest. We have Mac Valdez of the national team of beach handball. Mac, hello. How are you doing?
Hi everyone, thanks for having me. Hi Claro, hi Claudia.
So long time no see, no? But it's nice to catch up and you get to share your handball story. It's something I've really been interested in. I think my brother got to watch you play handball back in the SEA Games. Drove all the way to Subic. And alam ko ano, you guys are coming off a medal campaign, if I'm correct. Nag-bronze kayo sa in the most recent SEA Games.
Yeah, 2019 was our last tournament, sadly. Yeah, that was back in 2019. Actually, the photo that you're showing now, yeah, that's where it all began from a beach handball perspective for the men's team. It's,
And then ano, you were telling me that you also have a club team in Australia and then you're also playing national team. But I know you're based here in the Philippines. Paano yan? Ano yung setup mo siguro back when things were just going on?
so yeah, that's correct. I currently also play for the Botany Bay beach handball team located in Sydney. They're actually having a tournament tomorrow at Dulles Point, and this is usually the time where I fly there to compete with them and help my teammates out. But sad to say, with the pandemic, I'm located here in the Philippines. Looking at things glass half full, but it's really putting a lot of challenges when it comes to a competing standpoint. A lot of tournaments have been canceled, postponed, moved. So yeah.
Paano yung setup siguro, no, Mac? Before I'll pass it on to Claudia. Kasi ano, you're based here, so you just fly in, you have a tournament every 3 months, maybe? Is that how it works?
So yeah, I compete with them on a national basis. So there's an Australian national tournament where it's open to foreigners as well, and that's where I join in. It's annually, every Feb. We had plans to have a tournament 2 times a year, a Sydney-based one and a national-based one. I already joined the national-based one, but yeah, again, the plans didn't work out because of COVID. So yeah.
You know, Mac, you mentioned Sydney, right? Botany Bay. You know, I lived in Sydney for 10 years and I just miss it. I love Sydney. I love the fact that they uh, they they love any kind of sport, whether it's beach cricket, beach volleyball, anything with the beach, they love it. How did you get yourself into beach handball?
So it all started back in college. So let me take you guys back. It really started in indoor handball first. As you know, Claro, we came from the same high school. I don't know if you were able to play in the handball classes in PE. I don't know if you reached that point, but yeah, that's where I first got introduced to the sport. I really liked it very much because it was very similar to basketball. You dribble, you throw, it shows you a lot of explosiveness and athleticism, and I liked it. But that was it. I thought it was done and over. But come college, there was a movement, a new organization in the Philippines that really wanted to promote handball, and they started promoting indoor tournaments. And they also needed a training group for their women's team. So it started as a women's national team first in indoor, and they just needed college people to compete with them because the sport is new. So we were actually facing the women most of the time. So they were national athletes also before from other sports, basketball, karate, etc. They all joined to make this Philippine beach handball team for women. We trained with them, and eventually, upon training, I was just part of the training squad, attending a lot of indoor tournaments. And eventually, while I was working, I was looking for another competition. I was sick of being the weekend warrior, just showing up in company basketball games, competing against fellow weekend warriors as well. I needed the grind. So eventually I got a call that there were tryouts for this time, the men's national team. This time we're not the training team anymore. We're the actual team that's going to be formed. And the competition, the very first beach handball competition for men was going to be in Dumaguete. And that's the photo that you showed a while ago. So I tried out. The Coach Joanna from Kelly, she was my college PE coach for handball, so I knew her from that perspective. And I tried out and I got it, and the rest is history.
For the benefit of Claudia and our listeners, Mac actually played basketball first before pivoting to handball.
Yeah.
I can recall, no, Mac was our upperclassman, forced the game into overtime. Yung mga kalaban nila were future Beda NCAA stars, no?
Yeah.
So,
Claro, I was
grabe.
gonna say, Mac, you mentioned that about basketball because I know Frank Kelly. Actually, I played against Frank Kelly.
You know
Yeah, and
everyone.
I know I played against Frank Kelly, and she played basketball. She even went to fencing, and then right, and then I left for Australia, and then I found out there's a handball, Philippine handball thing. I'm like, how do they do that? And apparently, handball has almost the same fundamentals of basketball. Is
Mhm.
that right, Mac? Or the three?
So when I started out the sport, that's what I thought, because of course it's indoor basketball versus indoor handball, and I was like, okay, you can dribble, that's true. Um, but the way I played it back in high school was not as it should have been, because at the elite level, so if you really want to push your game up higher and higher, the differences are great. Like from footwork to timing, it's very different. Although, of course, there's some sport transfers, like reading defenses, reading offenses, that type of stuff that you could still apply. But if you go to fundamentals, I would say it's greatly different, especially if you want to compete at the very elite level. So yeah, if you play intrams, yeah, you could probably get away with a lot of if you're athletic, if you can jump, if you can throw hard, yeah, you could probably get that in. But if you face the elite players, that's when you see the difference. Oh, I'm not supposed to be doing that. Yeah, so in indoor, like for example, I have this friend. He played semi-pro in Sweden. He trains with us. Shout out to Anton Carlson. Call him the fisherman. Yeah, we call him the fisherman. So he played semi-pro in Sweden. He lives here now, and he found out there's a handball club, and he was like, "Yo, can I join? Can I train?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah." And we saw the huge difference of his play versus ours, even in indoor, because the way he throws and he admits this. He's not good at basketball at all. Like when he say, "Hey, let's play ball," no, you do that. I'm not playing that. But he's so good at handball, so that's where you can see that it's very different at the elite level.
Yeah. Okay. So because when I came home, people wanted me to do handball. I'm like, it's almost like basketball. But now I know in the elite level, I might be called for a traveling or do something. I don't know. But um, I should try it. No, Claro, I should try handball. I think I should try it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
should. I think I want Mac to confirm this later on, no? Because
Yeah.
I think he can do about 5 steps. Medyo nalilito
Yeah.
ako because my instinct sa basket, 2 steps syempre. 2 steps take
Yes.
off. Yung,
Yes.
yung isa pa, you cannot do your usual skip to my loo, dribbling under the legs and
Yeah.
everything, spin move. I know there is a limitation. So
Mm.
perhaps Mac, you can enlighten how it works for us sa indoor and sa beach.
Yeah, like the rules between the indoor and the beach.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's for both indoor and beach. It's actually three steps, but there's a gather step. So it's called the zero step. So a gather step and one, two, three. The way you use that three really depends on you. You could use it with 2 feet or 1 foot, but that's equal to a gather or a step. So some players like to do the James Harden where they do one, two, three, while some like to do zero, then and then another step is just both feet. So there's combinations to that. But of course, the main difference would be it would be very very difficult to dribble on the beach because once you bounce the ball, you don't know where it's going because it's sand. And actually, in handball, the less dribbles you have, the better because handball in indoor uh, allows tackling. Tackling is a good way of playing defense. So in basketball, if you hit the arm, it's a foul, right? In handball, you're supposed to grab the arm. That's a good play on defense. Okay, grab the arm, grab the elbow, grab the waist. Stop it. That's a tackle. And but in beach, you're not allowed to touch the offensive player at all. So there's a huge difference between beach and indoor. So when it comes to beach, you're supposed to play honest defense. You're not supposed. It's called a foul if you even touch him, and it's hard to block that person because the ball's very small. It moves very fast. So yeah, you have to adjust greatly to the type of handball, either beach or indoor, and it gets a lot of getting used to be honest. Because for example, I play indoor for like 2 months, and then we're going to beach. I forget, so your muscles have to adjust again. So yeah.
Yung beach handball and indoor, so that means those are two different beasts now that you think of it. And with the way you were explaining it, Mac, with all the mechanics of the footwork, I think that describes it, no, Claudia. What makes it so different from basketball? That's why those are just different things. That's how I see it in my perspective.
Yeah. For me, it's the difference between indoor and beach. I mean, like if you're so used to it, like Mac, you're indoor, and then suddenly you go to the beach, you can't tackle the person. How do you like have your self control? How's your mindset going into from indoor to beach handball?
And to your point, Claudia, thanks for pointing that out. Handball, like I think most of other sports, it's really a mental game. It's a mental thing. I've attended a lot of handball training sessions, lectures, and they really emphasize the mental facet of the game. Uh, Especially since the defense is always at a disadvantage because it's always four offensive players versus three defensive players and a goalkeeper. So from then on, it's a disadvantage already. And you really have to use your mind, your skill, your timing. So yeah, to your point, it is difficult, but if you want to play against the best, you gotta work harder, think better. Yeah.
So I'll stick with that. You said you work hard, think better. How did you tell us your journey from, you said weekend warrior to being part of the national team in handball and representing the Philippines? As you could see in the photo, we're showing yourself, Mac, holding the Philippine flag and representing the Philippines. How was your journey towards this goal?
Uh, well, I played co- my last competitive basketball after 5 years of playing varsity basketball in UANP, University of Asia Pacific. We are basically a Division 3 school. We don't, although we do compete with some Division 1 schools. That was the best I could do for college ball perspective. And right after my 5th year, I just said, you know what, that's it. I'm done. I'm retired. I'm gonna get fat. All that stuff. But I guess old habits die hard because I didn't even miss the games. You know what I missed? I missed the grind, the training. I missed practicing for something, looking forward to something. So don't get me wrong. When I played in the Weekend Warrior Corporate League, we won championships. I worked for Deutsche back then. We won a championship. Woo, yeah, it was fun. We were the best corporate league team, but at the end of the day, did I work hard for that? Like, I just showed up every Saturday. Yeah, we played well, but there's no investment outside of those 40 minutes that I give in. And I guess that gap, that hole left a part of me like I need to work for something. And if ever I lose or win, at least I knew I really worked hard for it. So I looked for that grind, the daily grind. And people were wondering, why are you working out every day still, even though you're just playing every Saturday? You're going against dads, right, that are 40 years old bringing their children. And I'm like, I don't know, it's really a habit. I can't stop. And that's when I got the call that there's tryouts. I'm like, I was in shape, so I was like, okay, let's do this. It was like a calling that this is the answer to my prayers, that this is something that I can look forward to, put my time in, struggle. That I think the part of that is the struggle. I really miss that, and playing in a team sport as well. Because when you see your teammates improve, and you guys are better collectively as a whole than each individual, that's the greatest feeling in the world.
Speaking of that grind, no, Mac, we've known each other for a long time because of school, no? And nung pandemic, nagulat ako because I know all tournaments were called off, and then we see you're on the sidewalk and you're working out, and I was like, damn, he's really serious about this, huh? Um, I think that's another different level of grind, no. But I know that it was a bummer. Tournaments were called off, or you can't make the one in Australia, or regional tournaments were called off. Ano yung mindset mo? How did you tell yourself, oh, okay, I'm just gonna keep working out, stay in shape, but there's no tournament day coming up?
Well, it's really that concept of always being ready and showing a good example to my fellow teammates, because we're a pretty young team. Out of the pool of 18 players, I think 13 or 12 of them are still in college. So we're a very young team. And as captain, as team captain, you always want to show a good example, show that work ethic, because I'm not gonna get any taller. I've reached that age that okay, this is my height. But I see my my competitors, my opponents, they're a head taller than me, longer, they jump higher. So I think my motivations haven't changed. My goals have when it comes to the sport, but the fact still remains that if you don't work hard, you're gonna get left behind. That's the only thing that's under my control, not my genetics, not anything else, my talent, because I just that's the only thing I can control, working hard. And when I see the stories of my opponents from abroad, like I'm friends with my opponents in Vietnam and all that other stuff, and I see them that they're having tournaments, they're working out. I get motivated. I use that as fuel, saying, "You're everyone else around the world is getting better. What are you doing?" And that's the only way I could at least compete and represent our country with pride.
Okay, yan siguro, no? So to stay motivated, follow your opponents on Instagram. See what they're doing. And okay, you're in the bed, you wake up, maybe you check their story. Okay, I'm getting up, I'm working out. No, okay, yeah. No. But
Yeah.
speaking of you and your handball teammates, how are you guys able to stay in shape when there are no international tournaments? Do you have a local league maybe where you guys get to play, or are you guys solely focused on the national team?
So yeah, pre-pandemic, we have a lot of local leagues. There was the Philippine Beach Games. We would have training camps abroad and here in the Philippines. We would also have local indoor handball tournaments. Just to get the community going, etc. Local beach handball tournaments. Actually, we were supposed to have the very first um, invitational last year, but again, COVID. So yeah, there's a lot of tournaments within there, both locally and internationally, paired with training camps. But now, since there's a pandemic, we strictly follow training program. Uh, we work out every day. We have weekly meetings just to discuss film. We break down plays of games as a team online because yeah, IATF rules doesn't allow us yet unless we put in a bubble. So uh, yeah, we're just staying ready from a mental standpoint, physical standpoint. Although it's really very different to train and work out as a team physically. This is the best we can do given our circumstances, and we're just waiting for that call because I know 2021 Sea Games will be in Vietnam. So, and I strongly believe that they're gonna have handball in their list of sports because they won gold last year. So,
Vietnam won gold last year. Vietnam won gold. Okay. You know,
2019, sorry, 2019.
29. Okay. Mac, you mentioned you were watching film and looking at your opponents on IG. How else did you improve in terms of your handball? Because I hear, like, here, basketball, you could watch the NBA, it's readily available. You got League Pass, you know, and even in football, you got the PFL. How you as a player improve in terms of your handball IQ?
So yeah, aside from our very own games that we've recorded for Sea Games and the other international tournaments, luckily there's technology in YouTube. Because there are two worldwide tournaments that happen every succeeding year. It's the World Championships and the World Beach Games. So, and Brazil has been killing it. I mean, they've won gold on both consecutively. They're beasts, and yeah, based from there, and we've actually played with a couple of the players from the different teams in some tournaments. So uh, we just use all that information, all the tournaments that we see around the internet, and we break that down and we discuss as a team.
So they
Gotta,
have their eye on Brazil. Yeah,
I was just
they're the
gonna say,
leaders.
they have
Exactly.
the even in like beach soccer. I think they're also like the leaders, no? And it seems that it's the best place to go to is Brazil because of their beach and their sport, no? Uh,
Match made in heaven. Match made in heaven. No, let's go to Brazil. No, next vacation. Mag-podcast
yeah.
tayo there, no, with
Like,
Jay.
oh, Max saying something. Was that Max?
Brazil. Yeah.
Brazil. Okay, Clara, I think I want to ask where what international countries or international tournaments did handball take you?
So the very first one was the International Handball Grand Prix in Weihai, China. Uh, we actually had a pretty good show out over there. We were the highest non-Chinese team to join out of 13 teams. So yeah, all the Chinese provinces they were fifth and below. The only three teams above us was the World Dream Team. They were made up of superstars. Basically, imagine the 1992 Dream Team that's then. Um, Basic in a nutshell, in a handball perspective, because they really got key players from a lot of teams and just made one. Second team was Vietnam. Third team was Taiwan. We were fourth, and everyone else, all the Chinese provinces. That was the very first one. And the second international tournament was in the same venue, but this time it's the Asian Championships. So this was really more of the official tournament that would qualify those first and second seeds into the World Championships the next year, which was sadly announced just last week that it was cancelled totally in Italy. So that's a bummer. Um, and then we also had a training camp in Hungary for about 2 weeks in preparation for Sea Games. And yeah, from a personal handball growth perspective, that's when I tried my luck in joining the Australian Botany Bay Club. So yeah, those are so far the countries. Handball takes you everywhere. Like it's such a friendly community that if you just say you play beach handball for this club in this country, they're like, okay, you can join us. It's so I love it. Yeah.
No, before we cover siguro yung mga national team training camps, no. Normally we have foreigners who come to the Philippines, to play as an import. Pero from I'm seeing it, si Mac naman yung import sa handball, no? Going to Australia to play. May foreign rule ba doon or is it an open division? Because, ayun nga, it seems like they've welcomed you in open arms and let's say without the pandemic, they expect you to fly in and play for them when they have their tournaments here and there around, around the calendar.
Yeah, so the funny thing there is I faced one of our team captain there. His name's Scott Nicholson. He's one of the Australian players that formed the dream team in Weihai, China, in the Grand Prix that I told you about. So yeah, we just kept in touch. Then all of a sudden, there was an opening in his club, and he was like, "You want to join in?" And I'm like, "Sure." When? Um, it was in a month in advance, so I had to book tickets, the visa, and all that stuff. But yeah, it was one of the best experiences. The first time and the second time, and it's really fun. Uh, and it's an open men's division. So we were the most diverse team because I was a Filipino, there was a Colombian, there were two Brazilians, two French guys, Aussies. Uh, yeah, so it was an international team. We had an we had the guy from India as well. So yeah, it was fun.
Ako, Claro, I have a question. No.
Go ahead, go
Uh,
ahead.
yeah, Mac, you said you played in Australia. How physical are they physical compared to the Filipinos? Are they more rough?
I would have to say that Asian style of handball is more physical because we had to, somehow, because yeah, being physical isn't technically allowed, right? Because no contact, all that stuff. But since usually in the Asian sphere, like our team were part of the smaller group, like we had to use some sort of, gulang, kumbaga, uh, sometimes. And I would get certain stares when I would face people from Europe because because this, he was like 18 years old, but he was like this tall. And I was like, how am I going to reach that? So I kind of, like just put a little shoulder tap just to prevent him from jumping too high. But I didn't make it stay there. I just, tap, tap. Then he looked at me differently, like, you're not supposed to do that. And I'm like, "Oh, you're too tall." So, yeah, I would have to say our version is more physical, but it's because we're, yeah, not that tall.
Kita
We're
natin, no?
vertically challenged, di ba, Claro? I think that's
Kita mo yung diskarte. You can see the diskarte of the Filipino player, no? Whatever
yeah.
sport, you will see some unconventional ways that are maybe gray or within the playbook. If it's not the rules, it's okay, right? If it's not
Yeah.
covered.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
Mac is saying that, okay, we are quite physical in handball, no? And then, Mac, we know you're a big guy. Your teammate is Andrew Harris. He played, big guy, of course, you're muscular. Your teammate's Andrew Harris, a real big guy who played basketball for UP and the UAP. So, I don't know. Kayo ba yung dalawang enforcers? Are you the two enforcers of the handball team? Maybe, now that you mention.
Si Andrew, roomie ko pa yan sa first tournament niya. Actually, he stepped into my offensive. I basically rotated to all the positions na in handball except goalkeeper and specialist. So out of, let's say, I don't know, 8 positions, I already had 6 of them, and those were kind of semi-permanent roles. So my most previous one was the pivot, which Andrew now is in. Um, and yeah, from an offensive standpoint, he's our easy bucket. Because especially when you're in Asia, um, finding someone at his height with his hands and his strength to throw the ball, it's a huge advantage. And and I could have I could have made it an issue to know that he just came in, he took my spots. I'm like, totally fine, I totally get it. You're better suited for that role. And it was that tournament where I kept talking to him about the ins and outs of the game because he was still a basketball player technically. And then we were roomies, we really bonded, and I tinuro ko na sa konting gulang. This is how you move 1 step, 2 steps, etc., etc. Yeah, it was very open to learning a lot. and it helped out and paid dividends in SEA games, as you can see there. Yeah, he scored a lot of buckets when we needed it the most, and he attracts so much attention. Like, just put it, make him stand there, even though if he's not gonna score, the lanes are wide open because he's there. He attracts so much attention. Yeah, he attracts so much attention. It's like, if you, I heard a podcast the other day about how Rudy Gobert, when he just rolls down the lane, people clog it up, and then they throw a kick out. So it's not Rudy Gobert's assist, but it's technically his because he attracts that defender and he just kick it wide open. Andrew has that effect in our team. So yeah, of course we all have a lot of points to improve on. Even myself, like I'm now playing defense. I help anchor the defense now, and what I really loved about games was after that whole tournament, the fellow defenders of Vietnam, who were way taller than me, they couldn't speak a single word of English, but they said jersey, jersey. And I'm like, oh, so we did a jersey swap, and I think it's a sign of respect, that at least they saw respect, game respect. Like I saw how hard you work, and I really admire them for their defense actually because they're very hardworking, hustle, magpapakamatayan sa bola, etc. And yeah, I love the jersey swap thing.
Mac, for the benefit for those that are listening, could you tell us more about what the positions are really on in handball? Are they, and also to the follow up question, is it the same as indoor and also in beach?
So all of the positions are the same except for the specialists. So
Right.
only specialists are in beach handball. There's no specialist in indoor because in indoor all the points are 1 point. All of it, no matter how you throw it, how far, how nice. Excuse me, it's all 1 point. For beach, there's 1 and 2 points. But the positions are the same. There's a left wing, left back, center back, goalkeeper, and specialist. It just
Okay.
varies. Okay. And then, of course, since there's fewer players in beach handball, there's gonna be fewer slots. So there's no left back, right back. It's a left wing, right wing. You can interchange it. But yeah, it's just reduced. But in beach handball, if you catch an alley oop and throw it to the goal, it's 2 points. It's called a trick shot. And if you spin 360, 2 points, trick shot. But if you're a specialist, meaning you're a goalkeeper or you're wearing a different colored jersey, meaning you're a specialist, even if you throw it normally, it's a 2 pointer. So that gives them an advantage, and that's the one of the main differences of the sport, indoor and beach.
How does
So
one
yung
become a specialist? I want to know, how does
Mhm.
one become a specialist? Does that specialist, kailangan ba may sarili siyang talent, a different kind of talent from the rest of the other
Mhm.
players?
Yeah, so as you know, all the court players, offense or defense, for example, they wear red. The goalkeeper and the specialist have the same color, just so that they could be identified as players with special um, circumstances. Because when a goalkeeper, for example, stops the ball and he throws it straight goal to goal, a normal shot, it's two
Pwede
points.
pala yun?
Yeah. So he stops it, it's inbound, throws it, that's 2 points. But of course, as a goalkeeper's skill set, he's his main skill set is really to disrupt, block goals. So he doesn't really go out to the court. So for example, if a goalkeeper stops it, it's not open for an open goal, right? So he just puts it down, passes it to a court player. He goes out. Then a specialist with the same colored jersey comes in, and he can play the court now. He doesn't, since they have the ball, he doesn't need to stop the the offense. So he just plays pure offense. Then when they score, the specialist goes out, then the goalkeeper comes back in. So that's the main difference. The specialist usually has the best target, the best arm, or a good passer who could set up other people. Because as a specialist, when you attack the lane, you're gonna attract more attention because you don't need to spin, you don't need an alley oop to score 2 points. A normal shot would do. So you attract more of the defense because, of course, you want to stop at two rather than a one, and it takes you less movement to score 2 points.
Mac, I'll follow up because you mentioned so the goalkeeper can go out and then the specialist can come in, right? And that means that the offensive side or the ones that are going for the where the goal should be really good and avoid having counterattacks. Because how because if you mess up in passing, there could be a counterattack while you're changing, right? 'Cause
Good insight. Yeah, so that's where the mental game really comes in. Like if you have a turnover, it's an easy two because there's your goal is open. There's no goalkeeper. Either you have a specialist in or a goalkeeper. You can rarely have a team that plays both. In Thailand, you showed that picture. I don't know if you can bring it up. If you bring it up, the person I'm guarding, he's really tall, lanky. He's a goalkeeper, but at the same time, when he stops the ball, for example, he blocks it, he doesn't need to step out. He passes it and he plays field.
this
So
one?
actually, yeah, his name's Open in Thai. I forgot Open something, Open K. And then, so when he stops the ball, he can actually play court. So he doesn't step out and get subbed. He plays on. So that's a huge advantage for a team because it brings you much less time to counterattack. But again, if he makes a turnover, for example, I stole this pass, their goal is open. Either he runs back or he subs out so that a new goalkeeper can come in. So it's really part of the strategy. But yeah, counterattacks are very important.
Do they have to swap exactly at the same place? Let's say the so I'm really going technical. So let's say the specialist comes out because there's already a counterattack. Can the goalie come from a different side of the beach, or he has to be subbed where the specialist comes out?
So before the game starts, there will be a flip coin, and you're gonna choose one side of sub. So it's either this whole side is your team's or this whole side. So once you choose, there's about a short line there where specialists and goalkeepers can only enter. No one else can enter through. So that's the only area where they can only enter. But they could exit anywhere. So for
Okay.
example, this goalkeeper enters there, goes out. He can go out anywhere, but he has to run back if he wants to come back in. So there's a delay. That's why there's a goalkeeper waiting in this area. So when that specialist steps out, it's easy.
It's a mind game too, Claro, no? It's
It is.
also
It is.
yeah, I'm like learning a lot. I mean, it sounds like hockey. Yeah, like where they just change,
Change it
right?
up.
Yeah. Okay, Claro. Wait.
Yeah, that's like I know you're playing handball already against each other, and then it's like you have another chessboard. So you're playing two games, and that's how you're really able to outwork each other. For coaches to outwork each other. I really like how we're going technical in this, no? And so perhaps we can proceed to our sponsor. Thank you, homemadeph.com, for sponsoring this episode. So, Mac and our listeners, you can use the code who the heck. So, for those in video, I'm taking a look at Cosiana's smoked duck breast, and it's great stuff. I got to try it one Sunday, and I just can't describe how good it is. So, you have to try it yourself. So, again, use the code who the heck for 10% off your first purchase. So let's get back to the show now. You know, speaking of this, I know there's that chess game now with subbing and everything. I think what I like with you guys heading into the 2019 SEA Games is you guys are so prepared because you had so many tournaments, you have an active league. So by the time you were playing in Subic, I think ready na kayo. You had no more teething issues. Maybe your chemistry was okay. How was the training experience maybe going to places like Hungary? Am I right?
Yeah, it was really more of Which combinations of players does coach put in together? It was really more of that. Of course, we had to go small, we had to go big, we had to go fast, and sometimes, yeah, it was really more of that, playing around with all the tools that coach had, and I think it paid dividends, especially when we had to mix it up, because there was one game I had a red card, so some people had to step into other roles. It was really more of that, all the contingency planning, polishing the plays, executing well, and performing under different scenarios. That's also a huge play.
And then I don't know, we got to see it come see games, no? You guys got a bronze medal, and I think that's quite spectacular. Pero ano, heading into maybe 2021, I think there's a chance for beach handball to get included into the roster of sports, no? How what's your plan maybe if you guys get to hit the beach or prepare? How's it been going? Yung preparation since I think kanya-kanya ngayon because of the pandemic.
Well, I heard that all SEA Games bound athletes will be having bubbles. So if that's gonna happen, I don't know how, I don't know when, but if it's gonna happen, hopefully it's well prepared. And whatever beach venue this is, I hope it would cater to the needs of our sport, because there's one sand court in Ultra, I think, but it's only half or less than half of our full court. So it's so hard. It's like playing half court sets the entire time. But a huge part of beach handball has to deal with full court stuff. So yeah, hopefully it just works out for the best. We're just staying ready, waiting for that call, and when we're called up, we gotta do it for the country.
I have a
Yeah,
question.
go ahead, go ahead.
This is just so random because you talked about sand. Is there a difference? Does this sand make a big difference when you play?
Mhm.
Like a different
Yeah.
kind, like Boracay sand or Palawan sand or the Sydney
Uh,
sand?
yeah, there's a standard of how fine the sand should be, because you can get wounds. So, syempre, mainit. And then if there's small pebbles, magkakasugat ka. And then injuries where you can just, when you land, knees first. So, yeah, and also when it gets wet, when it rains, it also depends. Sometimes it's so slippery. So, yeah, and sometimes it also gets too hot. There's a lot of outdoor factors that contribute to how you can play, and yeah, the weather and the sand plays a huge part.
Maybe bouncing off that, which venue has the best sand for you in your experience? So when you hear, "Oh, I'm playing in this place," great, it's my favorite beach to play in.
Ooh, well, I haven't played in a lot of beaches yet, but yeah, I think because there are a lot of indoor stuff, so I think the ones in Australia, because their sand is just, yeah, naturally fine. Although there are some pebbles and stuff there, you can just pick it off. Because here in the Philippines, we haven't actually really played in a non-man-made. Oh yeah, Pangasinan. I love Pangasinan sand. It's very fine. It's gray, but it's very fine. Like you won't get hurt at all. I love the sand there.
Okay,
I
Claro.
did get
Yeah,
yeah.
I was hoping like does Boracay have beach handball? I mean, if I want to be
Exactly, no? Okay, no?
Actually said, kung may bubble, sana doon na lang. Diba?
or Balisin or Palawan or 'di ba those beautiful places.
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind at all.
All right, so Claro, go ahead.
Okay, yan, no? That's a good way to promote the sport. You're already playing in paradise and everything, no? But yung maganda doon, what's nice is Max showed us it's not all sunshine and rainbows, because there's some places where the sand is quite tough. And we know sometimes that they don't literally play on the beach. Mac, I think I may have seen some of your posts you played in Moa Sands. So, okay, that's not literally on the beach. That's on a sand court that was made, but it's still a nice backdrop. But you're not literally, the waves aren't crashing on you because there's that wall. No, you're surrounded by a paved area also, as you see. And ganda ng jersey din sa picture na yun, ah.
Mali nga yung cut eh. Sabi namin, razorback, ginawang sleeveless, pero okay lang. Maganda naman yung tela.
Claro, ikaw kayo pag gumawa nun?
Oh, I wasn't on board yet that time, no. Before the pandemic, I was working on Razorbacks. I'm not lying. Before the pandemic, you can ask Mac. I was working on getting Razorbacks done for him already. Nagta-testing na kami, no. Pero before we close our conversation, and we'll carry on to the quick fire round, no, Mac. So the thing with handball is, what exactly do you need to get into the sport? Because maybe you guys get to inspire the future generation of getting kids into the sport. I don't think they need shoes. No, you just need to have a great court and a ball. Is there anything else?
Yeah, just the right mindset. You need to be a thinking player. It's not just a physical game. It will help, of course, to be physically fit, but yeah, you should be able to adjust well and think fast on your feet. Having a great arm as a cannon as an arm would be helpful too. And yeah, having athleticism, of course, will never hurt you. But yeah, work ethic, attitude. If you're a team player, I think you could make it pretty far. Because we've had a lot of people who tried out, stayed in for a month or two, or 2-3 weeks, but they eventually left because they couldn't handle the grind. But those who stuck around, great improvements have been seen, and all of these people have one thing in common: is that they love the game. I love the game, and we love our team, and we love our family, so that's why we stick to it. And of course, we're blessed to represent our country in that manner.
Clara, I just have again. I'm very.
Go, go.
I became technical here. Is there a difference between a right-handed and left-handed? Is like in baseball, if you're left-handed, you can. It's good to be on the first base, right?
Yeah,
Is
may
that
advantage
also?
ka.
Yeah, may advantage ka. Is there an advantage as a left-handed?
Yeah. So if you're a right wing, it's good if you're left-handed because you will need less of an angle to throw and spin and throw. But I've seen a lot of teams counter that. They use a right-handed person in the right wing anyway because they could create space. So it's really more of having James Harden, for example. He's right or left. I think it's really just because he's good at what he does, and he just happens to be a lefty. But of course, the being left-handed doesn't hurt because it's kind of awkward, maybe for some defenders. So yeah, it plays a huge part, but there are ways to work around it.
Right. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
Clara, you
speaking of
wanna?
that, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a right-handed guy, so you're used to guarding right-handed people most of the time, of course. So when it's a lefty, okay, what the heck is this now? It's a new game, no? You see some similarities. Lefties get to change up the game in so many sports, no? Pero Mac, before we conclude our conversation before the quick fire, siguro, what have you guys been doing maybe to get more players and to teach younger guys to pick up the sport? Ano yung efforts niyo? Are you targeting coastal communities or any specific groups?
Sorry.
I think
So we've been putting handball into schools, primary and secondary levels in PE classes. So there's a small handball community already, and it's growing through the different high schools and grade schools. That's where the tournaments come in. We're also trying to promote handball through online coaching, through Kickstarters at the very pre-grassroots level, online coaching as well. That's just something we started recently. Of course, everything that starts doesn't really pick up very fast, but we're here to stay in the long run, and hopefully things pick up, even despite the pandemic.
And then maybe to our people or friends interested in learning handball, do you recommend they go anywhere online to search up on the sport first to get started? Because of course we got to stay home first. We can't really play right now.
I think you can message our Facebook page, the Philippine Handball Federation. Maybe ask for tryouts. I know that um, we're open to fresh athletes who are looking for a new sport to invest their talents and their efforts. Whatever makes the team better, that's totally fine. We This is all for our country anyway. We're more than willing to teach you the sport. And yeah, we also have an IG page uh, that's also open when you want to message them. So yeah,
Is there any age limit? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, age limit. Like like how old? Or you don't want to answer that, do you?
yeah, I'd rather keep off that answer. No comment.
Anyone can play, right? Of course.
Oh,
Anyway, lastly, where would you like to see your beloved sport, beach handball, 10 years from now?
Want to qualify to the World Championships or the World Beach Games, or not just qualify, but actually get to a podium finish. 10 years from now, I know it's a long way to go, but you gotta aim somewhere, and that's the biggest stage. And hopefully, beach handball becomes an Olympic sport very soon because indoor is already an Olympic sport for the longest time. So we just want beach handball to be recognized as well because yeah, um, 10 years from now, podium finish, World Championships or World Beach Games.
do we have a
No, no,
chance to? Do we have a chance to do that? Like to get there?
Well, in Asia, Asia is a tough nut to crack already. So we have our Middle Eastern brothers there who are not shy to get imports and talents from elsewhere. Um, and yeah, it's a tough climb, but nothing worth having comes easy.
Mm.
speaking of that, it's I think they're pushing now to include handball in the 2024 Olympics. So that's 3 years away
Is
from
that in
what
Paris?
from what I saw. Yes,
Is that the one in
yes,
Paris? Yeah. So
yes.
we just got the answer that it won't be included. So bummer.
Oh
Sa-
man.
Man, I was looking forward to that. Okay na sana yung article but thanks Mac for keeping us updated. So
Yeah.
now, on to the quick fire round. We just ask you a question. You can just give us a straight up answer. No need to explain. Sometimes when guys give controversial answers, they feel the need to explain, and we totally respect that. No. So first question, what is your favorite restaurant?
Yushoken, yeah, ramen. Yep.
Okay. So Yushoken, you get to bring three teammates to eat all you can. Let's say Yushoken eat all you can, just for the discussion. Three teammates. You can include your basketball teammates here. So name three guys. You get to bring them with you. Apat kayo lahat total. So that's three plus you.
Is the goal to eat as much as you can, or ako ba magbabayad?
Oh, you
Kasi
don't have
they
to
have
pay
to
for
go.
the buffet.
Okay. Um, siguro si Mix Cruz, sina Troy, si Aldo, and sino pa ba?
Tatlo lang ah.
Yeah, tatlo. Sorry. Tatlo.
Ayun.
Kaya.
Okay. Sige.
My turn. I
Yes, go ahead.
ako. This is not non-beach handball question. LeBron James or James Harden?
LeBron James.
You're a LeBron James fan. Okay. Next question. Uh, if there was an earthquake right now, right? And you had to get one jersey only from your handball, beach handball. Would it be your first tournament, international tournament jersey, or your Sea Games jersey?
Sea Games.
Okay, good. All right, Claro.
Okay. Yeah, I got another round. Okay. So, one word to describe playing for the Philippines.
Honor.
Honor. Okay. Okay. Another
Uh,
one is you're a goalkeeper. You have to defend. You have to save Andrew Harris's shot. Kaya mo ba? Yes or no?
this is mine.
Goalkeeper, no. But as a defender, parang kaya pa. Nag-flinch pa ako pag goalkeeper. Ibang skill set talaga. Defender na lang.
Nakakatakot ba
Nakakatakot,
siya?
no? Yeah, he's a
Nakakatakot ba
huge
siya?
guy. He's a
No,
huge guy. Okay.
because anyone who winds up full force, and if you're not used to meeting it head on, you're really gonna flinch. So that's why goalkeepers are really trained to not flinch, always looking at the ball, eyes wide open. And I don't have that training yet, but yeah.
And that's pretty hard in the beach because what if there's like you're running and the sand just like throws up and goes to your eyes? I mean, like anyway. Did you ever get a red card?
Yeah.
What was the hardest foul, or was the worst one that you got?
It,
Reason.
it was it was really more of me being in the wrong place at the wrong time. But I think I got two red cards now in my career. One in SEA Games and the other one in the Asian Championships, I think. Yeah, one was a bad call. I was there first. They called a blocking foul while I was actually there first. If you could see it on the replay, but the one in SEA Games, that was a red card because I was there the wrong place, the wrong time, and if I didn't move, I would have been kicked in the face again. So I had to make a
Oh,
choice because I had that same scenario before. There was this guy jumping, and I stood because yeah, it was a done play. I got kicked back as part of recoil to a shot. So when I saw the same thing happening again, and I'm like, if I don't dive forward, I'm gonna get kicked. So I dove forward, and I hit him also. So anyway,
Yeah, imagine,
it's
Mac. Can you confirm? After na red card ka, home team tayo, no? Did you do anything like pump up the crowd kasi nagalit?
no, no, but the you could see the other team very happy about it. No, I just told Andrew stepped in as defense for me, so it was all good.
Mhm.
all
Siyempre, no?
right.
Ikaw yung usual defender. Last two, Claudia, for me, do you have anything else before I do
I'm
the
good.
last two?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right.
I'm gonna watch more of handball now because I like the switching, the specialist and the goalkeeper and all that. So I'm gonna watch that. Yeah.
Mhm. So that you're ready, no? When we go to the beach, okay, we'll play handball, no? Ready
Yeah.
na.
Exactly. All right. Wait, I have one. Did you ever play cricket when you were in Sydney?
Nah,
All right, Carl.
Okay, Mac. I'll put the two right away. The favorite country you travel to for handball, whether it be training or a competition. After that, maybe your dream venue, like maybe do you want to play in Brazil or somewhere, a certain stadium, a certain beach.
well, for one, the most beautiful so far is maybe because I would have to say Gold Coast, Australia, because right after you swim, or not even right after right after the game you swim, you drink a beer while watching. It was just very relaxed, the environment. I mean, Hungary was beautiful too, but we were there on business, like training camp, strict. So this was really more of a competitive recreational thing, and I really enjoyed the vibe. Yeah, and just hanging out with your mates after. And Gold Coast has a beautiful shoreline, tons to do, shops everywhere. Yeah. As for my dream place to play at, yeah, it would be Brazil. I think I just want to experience the fact that they're a huge handball country, beach handball country, you know, getting gold all the time. I just want to compete there, maybe even just once. Um, join a local tournament, that would be great.
My specific beach ba dun sa Brazil or wala naman so far? Something you see online?
Well, yeah, I don't know the exact ones, but yeah, maybe the capital. I don't know.
The one in Brisbane or Gold Coast is Surfers Paradise, huh?
I forget. One of them there. I think it's close by. Yeah.
Beautiful. Claro, it's beautiful. It's Queensland, so it's above Sydney. It's above Gold Coast, where the Great Barrier Reef is. So it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. Very laid back. Very laid back place.
And
Okay.
then let's look for a sponsor. Magpa-handball lessons tayo with Mac there in Australia, no?
Yes, we all
All the
fly
way
there.
there.
After this pandemic. Ay,
Yeah,
nako. Yeah.
we'll have a podcast special though. Anyway, Mac, before we wrap up, we wish that we could carry on. This was such a great conversation. Maybe you'd like to invite people to support your team. Baka may mga fans ka dun, no? I think kinuwento mo dati when you were in Dumaguete. Some parting shots before we say goodbye.
Yeah, so please follow our Facebook and Instagram pages for any updates. And if you're an athlete that looks to try a new sport and contribute to the talents of making Philippines one of the better handball countries in Southeast Asia, send us a message. And also in Kickstarters, we're also having online coaching classes for handball ages 3 to 12. So feel free to book a session with us. We're more than happy to teach the fundamentals to your children as early as now. And maybe in the future, they could be part of the national pool. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, that does it for this episode. Again, that is the national team captain of beach handball, Mac Valdez. This has been Claro Manzano alongside Claudia Perrine. Thank you so much for joining us. So if you like this episode, give us 5 stars. Hit that subscribe button. Follow us also on social media at WTHAW Podcast. If you don't like the episode, still give us 5 stars. And if you have any comments, suggestions, different topics, just slide into our DMs and feel free. So thank you again, Mac, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me. Bye, guys.